What I've found is that there seems to be a huge misunderstanding when it comes to Ocusync 2.0 and why it is actually better. Now, on this channel, I absolutely love helping people. I love helping you guys. Anybody that gives me any feedback to say, thank you, the videos really helped me, or I found that information useful, that's where I basically get my kicks. Quite often, I will find myself on an evening or when I've got any spare time, browsing through Facebook forums and generally helping people by giving advice. Now, as you can see on screen, this is one that I found yesterday. Now, this is somebody complaining about poor range. Now, I was quite alarmed at one of the replies that was actually on there. You can see that now. So one of the replies was saying how good Ocusync 2.0 was for the DJI Mini 2 and that it's so much better than the extended Wi-Fi, which is on the DJI Mavic Mini. So naturally, me being me, I thought, well, actually, that's a slight misunderstanding. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about what the difference actually is and why it's better, but then show you some ways you can get around it. So let's get into it. To be able to answer this correctly, first of all, you need to forget about these drones and understand how Wi-Fi works. And you're thinking, well, why do I need to understand Wi-Fi when we're talking about Ocusync? I'll get to that in a minute. So if you look at your general household routers, okay, or which basically provide the internet into your home from your network supplier, if you've ever picked up your phone and you've gone to somebody's house and you've gone to search for a Wi-Fi to join their network, you will generally get two options. You will see ones that may say 2.4 gigahertz and ones that say 5G. Now, by 5G, they mean the 5.8 gigahertz network. But bear with me, okay? So 2.4 gigahertz generally spans across 13 channels, and then 5.8 gigahertz spans across some others, which you can see on screen now. And you're thinking, why is all this relevant? Well, actually, this is how the DJI Mavic Mini works. It works on Wi-Fi, okay? So for example, and you can be able to see on screen now, so using my Wi-Fi analyzer where I actually live, you can see that on the 2.4 gigahertz network, that's where most people's routers usually are broadcasting from. So most TVs and most mobile phones and laptops or skyboxes or anything like that generally default to connecting on the 2.4 gigahertz network. That's why it's the most popular. So what you will see is that the 2.4 gigahertz range has by far the most interference. Now, 5.8 gigahertz is better and gives a stronger signal but over a weaker range, whereas 2.4 gigahertz tend to give not a stronger signal but over a longer range. So ideally, if you are in your home, the best thing to do would actually be to make sure that any devices that support 5G are actually connected to your router's 5G network, because you're going to get a faster speed. It's as simple as that. 5G has a faster, stronger connection, but over less range. So ideal for built-in areas. So let's bring this back to the drones, okay? So let's discard the Mini 2 for the moment. Let's just talk about the Mavic Mini. So the Mavic Mini works on a system called extended Wi-Fi. Now, what you'll be able to see on screen is when you open up your settings and you go to the transmission tab, you can see that there is a range of bars, both green and red, and you will see channels such as 1 to 13 and then 149 onwards. So the channels 1 to 13 are 2.4 gigahertz channels and the rest are 5.8. So where am I going with all this? Well, the way that it works with the DJI Mavic Mini is if you leave this in auto mode, which you can see on screen now, that leaves the drone to pick which channel it thinks it is best, okay? But as you can see, sometimes it can get it wrong. Now, the trouble for the poor drone is, for example, as you can see, look, using a Wi-Fi analyzer. So on screen, okay, where you can see my Wi-Fi analyzer for the area which I'm living, channels 1 to 3 are about the lowest. Now, if you look on screen also, you can see the drone thinks that as well. Brilliant. So the drone is picking up the correct sort of channels on a 2.4 gigahertz network. Okay, brilliant. Let's go fly. But it's not that simple. Many people struggle with poor range because when you take off on the DJI Mavic Mini, that channel, that frequency is absolutely locked in. It cannot change, okay? So say for example, again, reverting back to our channel analyzer, if I take off from my house on a 2.4 gigahertz channel, because the drone isn't detecting that much interference, so right, it picks that one, you take off, it's fixed, all good. Now, you might fly a couple of 100 meters down the street, okay, especially in urban areas. Now, that channel might be, that area that you fly into might be strong interference on channel 1 to 3. So where it takes off, it thinks channel 1 to 3 is best because it is where you've taken off. But if you fly 100 meters down the road and 1 to 3 with people's Wi-Fi's are very heavily congested, that's when you get your signal interference, because then the drone is locked into that channel 1, 2, 3, for example, whichever one it's picked. You've now flown into an area where that is now the strongest interference. And just reverting back to this screen that you can see with our transmission tab, what people don't understand is red is bad. So the higher the bar, that means the most interference on that channel. So you want to be looking at a low green one. Now, you can actually get round this by manually selecting a channel. So say, for example, you know, if the drone had got it wrong, or if you knew that 100 meters down the road, channel 1 to 3 is going to be congested, you could pick channel 8, for example, or channel 9. You might get more interference here, where you take off at your takeoff point, but where you're flying, you're going to get less. So that'll give you a stronger signal. So hopefully that explains that one a little bit. So let's talk about Ocusync, because it is quite important. So Ocusync, the world-beating, amazing connection system when it comes to the DJI Mini 2. I see everybody comment, you need Ocusync, it's absolutely fantastic. It's a much more revised, new, brilliant broadcasting system. But is it? Well, in short, no, it's not. People don't think that it is, but DJI Mini 2 with Ocusync still works on a Wi-Fi based system, okay? So if you look on screen now, you will see that you have still got a similar sort of setup to what you had before, only instead of it showing the actual channel interference, you've got a slightly different sort of graph with which it shows it. So when I was recording this little snippet that you're seeing on screen now, you can see that I wasn't moving, I was doing it sat right here. And of course, channels cross and interferences change. So what you're going to see on screen now is on the drone itself, you can see it's manually switching between channels or frequencies if you wish, okay? It's manually switching to give a stronger signal. And that's what Ocusync does. It is not a new, completely different, amazing connection system. It is simply extended Wi-Fi, just the same as the Mavic Mini, but with the ability to change channels and frequencies dynamically in flight, okay? So if you do take off now and then you have little interference, okay, when you get your 100 meters down the road and then you realize, or the drone realizes that there's becoming into some interference, it can then change channel to a less interference channel, and that's how it keeps the stronger signal, okay? That's how Ocusync works. It is still Wi-Fi, just has the ability to dynamically change its frequency between 2.4 gigahertz and 5.8, or, of course, it can change within the separate channels within that frequency to give you a stronger signal. Brilliant. So, to answer the question, how much better is Ocusync? Well, it depends where you're flying. And don't forget as well, is again, you're going to see the comparison on screen now. So, for the DJI Mini 2 over and above the DJI Mini 1 or Mavic Mini 1, you actually get more broadcasting power from the controller with the DJI Mini 2. So yes, of course, it's going to give you more range than the DJI Mavic Mini. It's going to, because it's got more broadcasting power to begin with, as well as having that ability to change channels to give you a stronger connection. or to ensure a stronger connection at more times. So that's why the DJI Mini 2 is better. Is it well beaten? No, of course not. It's not perfect. It's still subject to interference. So that's why you will still see, you know, people getting disconnections in urban areas because it's not brilliant. So if you're flying down, you know, a narrow street with neighbours either side with all got the Wi-Fi on, pretty much going to have interference on every channel. Okay, so that's why sometimes even when people are talking about the world-beating Ocusync 2.0, you're still going to get some interference and you're still going to get some disconnections for that very reason. But anyway, hopefully you found all of that useful. Don't forget, I have done a lot of other videos on the channel regarding Mini 2, Mavic Mini. Please go check them out. There's going to be something that some of you will find useful. Thank you very much for watching. See you again soon.